I have one my camera left.
Yeah, well, it's still,
I know, but the last batch I bought did not come with white ones at all. Just many other colors.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like my ex had problems because
Okay with other colors.
Yeah, but it's kind of the whole white thing.
The white thing.
Buy the perfect
Yeah, this is
present and
annoying.
he had to be joyful about every present that he got when he was a child. You know how that is, yeah. It's a lot of people like that.
I forgot
So
to
there's
see,
a lot of
I never thought about how this is gonna work
See
well.
families
Let me
with
see.
one
Yeah.
so-
Maybe need to take it off when I'm
Why
playing.
we can't,
Yes.
let's think about saying marriage.
Well, that's a pretty cool red one.
Something else, and I couldn't really figure anything out. And so then, the whole how you-
It's really long.
It's really insipid.
Yeah, this one,
It's
that's
just
the reason why I like
boring
going the MA, because it's not
Well,
too long.
we could get that, we could
My daughter
shorten
came
it.
up with-
Can we?
Yeah.
I'm kinda short now.
Isn't
This
it?
is made for a
Because
tall
it
person.
means
Yeah.
like good news, good happiness to you.
I'll try not to.
Well, and I wanted to come up with a way to maybe like embroider chalices on things.
Use it yet.
So rather than
Okay.
making you another red one, we could just shorten this one and maybe put
Yeah,
a
that'd be
chalice on
great.
it
That'd be
somewhere.
wonderful.
Although,
Would it be better
this would be
to,
too skinny. Yeah, I think it'd be better to take
yes,
it.
I was gonna say take up, and you can fold it underneath
Behind
itself,
in my mind.
like, so it's on the backside?
But
Yeah, I think that would be better.
That's always
Because it's
tiny.
black. You know how to take the black part out?
They would definitely
Oh,
get
yeah,
me
that's
mixed up
fine.
with
That
Yeah,
probably makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just your
Yes.
choice.
You saw what Kelly has been helping me do, right? So I could put, to keep my, well, this one doesn't have a pocket on it. Dang. Well, this is gonna be cold.
Just for a moment.
Oh, oh,
Brian, just think of it as invigorating.
Yeah, yeah.
That one doesn't have a receipt.
Yeah,
It's
so I can
two
just-
back, so you can take it out and sit up.
Yeah, and then sew it up.
Yeah, but if you have one that's a full piece of fabric, I would tuck in and go underneath so that it's
Wardrobe mount.
not like a tag that sticks out. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm just gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But chances are all, are good that all of them will have the same thing.
Oh, that's why this is weird.
Do we need to go wake Josh up?
I'm a mess.
Is Josh sleeping in the car?
Brian, is Josh sleeping out in the car?
Oh, no, he's, at home.
Yeah,
Oh,
finishing-
okay, that's what I figured this time.
Okay.
She doesn't know Josh at all, does she?
Kelly wouldn't let me eat anything else last night.
Get some today.
But I have milk at home, I don't have milk
Really
here.
it?
Go to Brown a little bit. There's a gas station down the road.
I think I could get home and back just about as quick.
Probably.
just, okay, yeah, think about it. You got the whole.
Leading into 2025 already. Finish line is.
At 5 o'clock. Is that okay if we leave
How's it?
at 4 o'clock?
It's not.
Yeah,
Is my train head there?
They're
Somebody gonna ring the bell?
It's just, it's not hard, it's not like hard and fast, but.
What else is coming?
Okay,
I mean-
I'll think about it.
That's how I feel this
never
morning.
get this whole thing right. I mean, honestly, people.
Just follow my lead. Well, it's late December, dark and cold. Where is the light? An old man here is bending low. Where is the light? When the sun runs off to bed too soon. Where is the light? And there's nothing but a skinny moon. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where dark when off to work I go. Where is the light? And it's dark again when I get home. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. It's in my skin, in my bones, it's in my heart and in my soul. The light of life, so bright and golden like a summer's day. When the sun goes missing in the sky, it is rising in my eyes, chasing all the winter gloom away. I'm burning bright like kerosene. Where is the light? I'm twinkling like the Pleiades. Where is the light? I'm dancing like a candle flame. Where is the light? And I'm flaming like a flamme. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. One more time. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. 2, 3, 4. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Good morning. Welcome to all who have joined us today, both virtually and in person. For those of you that may be watching this as a recording or new, my name is Bryan and my pronouns are he, him. Today we have a celebration of light, so more to come about that. I do have a couple more announcements of upcoming services though. Next Sunday, Barbara May will be with us via Zoom, and I will not be here, but she's going to come and bring a message about the new year. Not the new year, new me thing though, something else she said. So we're really happy about that. And then I'll be here the next Sunday, but then January the 19th, which is the Sunday of MLK weekend, one of my dear friends and colleagues and former seminarian partner, Reverend Dr. Dean Seal, who also graduated from United a couple of decades ago. He's going to be coming in by Zoom as well and talking about his research and his commitment to studying the theology of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So excited about that. And just to flash forward to February, I think it's February the 9th, that Claudia Schmidt's going to be with us too. So we have a lot of fun things coming up to bring us the light of this wonderful new year that's coming forward. Also, I want to make sure I extend an invitation for those of you that may not already know. I think most of you do. But today at 2 p.m. at our farm, everybody's welcome for refreshments and festivities, and may even have some tours. It looks like we probably could do that. So at least come and see the chickens, right? So I think that is all the announcements that I have. Anybody else have announcements? Jim?
I have one. So being year end, I'll be generating statements for people and getting those out in January here. If anybody has done any purchases for the church as an in-kind donation or anything, there are forms in the guest book on the counter. Give note, because what's nice is one, to give you credit for that in-kind donation, but it also helps us track real expenses for the planning budgets and stuff. Okay?
Thank you. Other announcements?
movie night at the Grendelins on the 3rd. Does anybody remember what the movie is?
Conclave.
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 And we'll be there too. It's one of the movie things I'll be able to make, so I'm excited. It's a great movie. Others? This is usually where I say,
For January 25th?
Sure.
Okay. So the women's group is getting together at my house, January 25th. It just feels like it's so far away right now. That's
gotta
when
get
you
it
have
on our
time
calendars.
problem. Yeah, about 10 in the morning. Bring whatever you want, a little appetizer, and I don't know what we're doing yet. But,
But you needed an RSVP, right? by the
yeah,
20th.
RSVP like a couple days ago.
anything else? Okay, I invite you to take a deep, slow breath. Calm your souls as much as possible to separate yourself from the chaos around us and the relief of the busyness of the season, and join me in meditating in this prelude. to remain seated as we join together in our lighting of the chalice. Oh. Today we celebrate illumination. We light our chalice each time we meet for services as a symbol of the light within us, as well as the life that flows through the world around us.
This light is our beacon as we search for truth. This light is the warmth in our hearts for love.
And our light is the energy that propels us to action as we seek to be kindled by our time together here today and in the world.
We light this chalice with an open heart. We light this chalice with resolve.
We light this chalice with tears still fresh on our cheeks. We light this chalice in hope, a tiny flame we nurture.
We light this chalice with reverence for this place, for these people, for this time, for this entire world.
We light this chalice with all our souls longing to be who we are, to be who we will become, to be ourselves.
We light this chalice in self-love, in giving love, in holy love.
Therefore, in the spirit of all of this love and light, we light this chalice together and say,
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, to serve you, Spirit of freedom, in the fullness of community.
So our opening hymn is probably quite unfamiliar to most people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it through all the way, including the chorus, and then we'll start back at the beginning. And I'll nod when it's time to start. So that may help us a little bit. You may rise as you're able. The time has come to be illuminated once again.
We celebrate the return of the light, even as we intend to share this light of love with all.
May these flames we light today, both the chalice light and the holiday wreath lights, remind us always that it only takes one spark to ignite a beacon that pierces even the deepest darkness.
Together we light the final candle, the candle of the return of the light. May we covenant with each other to embrace it and to pass it on.
I now invite you to hear these words of our beloved community. This is the time during the service when we pause and acknowledge the things and people around us that we feel as if we should be embracing, recognizing, honoring, and assisting. Earth is our home and certainly the pivotal member of the beloved community. We are part of this world and its destiny is our own. Life on this planet will be gravely affected unless we embrace new practices, ethics, and values to guide our lives on a warming planet. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith informs our actions to remedy and mitigate climate change. We declare that we will not acquiesce to the ongoing degradation and destruction of life that human actions are leaving to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We as Unitarian Universalists are called to join with others to halt practices that fuel climate change, to instigate sustainable alternatives, and to mitigate the impending effects of climate change with just and ethical responses. As a people of faith, we commit to a renewed reverence for life and respect for the interdependent web of all existence. As global warming and the resulting climate change are resulting in a more and more extreme weather, drought in some areas and flooding in others, poorer and impoverished peoples, communities of color, and differently abled as well as the elderly are often the most affected by these disasters, even though they contribute the least to their causes. Our Unitarian Universalist spirit values call us to act on the personal, local, and national levels to adopt practices that will reverse global warming and climate change, and to do so in ways that are just and equitable. May the light we celebrate today illuminate us further to take positive action towards solutions that save our Mother Earth from more destruction. May we be beacons of hope, peace, joy, and love as our light shines forth for all living creatures that are riding on this blue boat home. And now we come to the time for joys and concerns, so if you feel so moved to do so, please come forward and share a joy and or concern and light a candle. And if anybody online needs a candle lit, please just chime in and Alice will take care of you.
So on the 23rd of this month, my mother passed away.
This is for my niece Eleanor, who was born on Christmas Day. And this is for my grandma, who went to the ICU with pneumonia.
is for my sister who needs help, but I can't give it to her, which is difficult. And we'll do one for Sprout. Some of you know that's my little great nephew who turned 3 on the 27th, but they're not celebrating until near to Chinese New Year, since his mother is Chinese, he's Chinese, his mother is Chinese, his grandpa's Chinese, and 27th is just too close to Christmas, right?
So this is for my mother, who on Christmas Day evening had to be taken to the hospital because she got sick. Fortunately, nothing serious, just norovirus and stuff. So she's better, but it's going to be leading to some changes probably in the next month, 2 months, to move her to a new facility. So that'll be a fun and interesting transition.
Can I tag on to that one and say that's part of gratitude for all of the emergency services people who showed up at our house. There was firefighters and EMTs, and they were awesome, and I'm so glad that they are willing to work on a day when we needed them.
I have a joy.
Go ahead.
This candle is for Todd and Steve, who I see have joined us online. They're both recovering from COVID, and I'm wishing them a speedy recovery.
Well, maybe I should do 2, one for Todd and one for Steve. It's so good to see them.
Yes.
This candle is also about Keith's mom, who passed away, but it's a candle of gratitude because she was the best mother-in-law I think a person could have. And she's playing with me.
I'm just going to light a pretend candle of joy of anticipation of our activity, Friday night poetry music event that's coming up. I should have put it in the announcements, but we're going to try a group songwriting activity, and I'm looking for a poem. So if you have a poem you'd like to submit as a possibility, let me know.
That's the 3rd Friday in January.
Yes.
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Yes.
Holly Jorgensen's poem that she included in her holiday email, I've been thinking ever since I read it that needs to be put to music.
Oh, there's an idea.
Thanks, Megan.
Yeah. That'd be
To
cool.
see if we can get permission from the office.
Yeah.
Great.
So I will light a final candle for all those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. May we know that whatever befalls us in life, we are held in the loving embrace of this community. And now we say, for all of these joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, we
hold you in our hearts.
This is a poem entitled How the Light Comes by Jan Richardson. I cannot tell you how the light comes. What I know is that it is more ancient than imagining, that it travels across an astounding expanse to reach us, that it loves searching out what is hidden, what is lost, what is forgotten, or in peril, or in pain. That it has a fondness for the body, for finding its way toward flesh, for tracing the edges of form, for shining forth through the eye, the hand, the heart. I cannot tell you how the light comes, but that it does, that it will. That it works its way into the deepest dark that enfolds you, though it may seem long ages in coming, or arrive in a shape you did not foresee. And so, may we this day turn ourselves toward it. May we lift our faces to let it find us. May we bend our bodies to follow the arc it makes. May we open, and open more, and open still, to the blessed light that comes.
Well, happy 5th day of Christmas. 5 golden rings? You know the song, right? Yeah. So I say that because I spent years, and some of you have probably seen me post online, I've spent years trying to impress upon everyone that I could that there are 12 days of Christmas, not just one. You're not supposed to take your Christmas tree down on December the 26th. That's St. Stephen's Day. You know, good King Wenceslas, you know, it's still going on. And it was something that I was not brought up knowing. So I felt it was my educational duty to make sure that everybody knew that. And of course, we look back in history and we know, I mean, Shakespeare wrote a play, The Twelfth Night. I mean, that's like the 12th night of Christmas. But I, over the course of time, have learned that traditions change. And now that we have really kind of like this happy hollow thanksmas thing going on back in September, that people sometimes are quite fatigued at this point about the holidays, and so traditions kind of change. However, I will still continue to celebrate 12 days of Christmas, and then those that don't want to, I've been able to separate myself and detach and say, you know, you don't have to. But I bring that up because, prepare yourself, the historical theology lesson is coming. I say that because one of the things that we have been doing this month is re-envisioning, changing our traditions in the world, re-envisioning what Advent and what this day, the Sunday of Light, means to us as Unitarian Universalists. Now, I wasn't so full of myself to think that, you know, I was the only one to ever think about re-envisioning this, right? And so I did some research during the course of this month and found out that the UU Church in Little Rock, Arkansas, many, many years ago, created the tradition. It was called Illumination Sunday, with 2 U's for UU in it. And that was celebrated usually the Sunday after Christmas. However, even though many UU churches around the nation started to pick up on this, there was a criticism because of what is known in theology as the doctrine of illumination. And that's not necessarily something that UUs embrace, because of course the doctrine of illumination is a Trinitarian formula that says you don't need anybody to interpret the Bible for you. You can let the Holy Spirit let you read the King James Version of the Bible and you can figure it out on your own. The Great Awakening, they called it. So that term, the Sunday of Illumination, was not so popular with theologians in the UU, so it kind of died off. So I have been calling it the Sunday of Light. Hopefully there's not something out there that doctrinally people don't agree with. But I don't think it's a coincidence that this church in Little Rock and myself and us as a congregation are celebrating light this time of the year, because of course we had an amazing solstice service designed by Dawn and having input from many people in the congregation, because it is the return of the light that we're celebrating. The days are getting longer. I mean, yesterday there was this bright yellow disc in the sky. And even though I had this activity coming up this afternoon, I spent almost all day outside yesterday. My chickens were so happy. They were flying around and just jumping around with joy, and it was fantastic. And I got a lot of stuff done, and I feel good about that. And it was like to myself, this is a really lucky day. Although we could go back to the beloved community and realize maybe climate change has something to do with that, but that's not part of this. That's in future presentation. But I go back to the fact that I don't think it's a coincidence, because over the course of hundreds, if not thousands of years, communities around the world, especially in the northern hemisphere, have celebrated the return of the light after the winter solstice. It's an ancient practice by many people. And not to be outdone, when Christianity evolved, not sure how many know this, but the reason why December the 25th was picked for the birth of Jesus is because it's 3 days after what was originally, before leap year, the solstice. I think I may have mentioned this before, because it used to almost always be on December the 22nd. And then December the 25th was when the day got both a minute longer in the morning and a minute longer in the afternoon. And so they picked that day because there was already all these other celebrations going on with pagans and others. And so they said, we're not going to compete, we're just going to make our own day. Because historically, remember historical theology lesson, Jesus was probably born in June, but that's another presentation from a different day, for a different day. But the upcoming season that I won't be around here the upcoming day that we won't be around here to celebrate is when Barbara's coming on January the 5th, that is, but on January the 6th is a day in the tradition of the church which is called Epiphany. And Epiphany, and anyone that knows me about in my theology around Christmas realizes how irritated I get about how we look at these manger scenes and the wise guys are there on Christmas Eve, but they didn't show up for months afterwards, and they actually showed up in Nazareth and not in Bethlehem. And all these movies that are supposed to be, like Mary. I don't know what that was. Maybe I'm getting a message. All of these traditions in the movies, like even the movie Mary that I talked about, they still had the wise guys showing up on Christmas Eve. And it's frustrating. But again, traditions change. Epiphany, January the 6th, is the day after the 12th day of Christmas, and it's when traditionally the Magi are celebrated to have actually attended the, not birth, but close to the dedication of the baby Jesus in the temple, which happens a little later. But I digress. And I say, well, what does this all have to do with the celebration of light this time of year? Well, the word epiphany is a very interesting word because it means this liminal moment where all of a sudden you have this threshold you've entered, there's some uncertainty, and then you are given to try to figure it out, and you are supposed to get yourself to the point of where you know that something has happened. I wrote my dissertation about the idea of liminality and about how those, what we call in the educational profession, those teachable moments that are not in the lesson plan, but yet you have to take that opportunity when somebody asks a question and say, I'm so glad you asked that. That wasn't on the topic for today, but we're going to learn about that right now. Of course, my middle school students used to use that to get me off track. But this idea of liminality, many of us have experienced that before, where you've run across some information that basically undoes. It helps you unlearn something that you've always thought was true. I mean, if we think back in humanity, this has happened to lots and lots of people. Like the day that somebody said, Galileo might be right. The world might be something that's not flat. I wouldn't say round, but, roundish, right? And so that was destabilizing historically to people because, imagine thousands of years of theology where humanity was the center of the world and everything revolved around us. And all of a sudden, you realize, hey, we're not the center of everything. That's pretty destabilizing. And maybe as a child you experience that moment when you say, wait a minute, maybe I'm not the center of everything. My puppy hasn't realized that yet, but we're really working on it, trying to do that. But what I'm offering you then is to take this moment in time, this season of light, that I believe is one where we have a lot of liminality. We stand on thresholds of a lot of unknowns. We all know that this coming year might be quite different from what we wanted to have happen. We also know that we stand on the threshold of things like climate change. We stand on the threshold of uncertainty in many ways. Life presents these opportunities of liminality for us to open our hearts to the light and to see the possibilities of what could be. The songs that I chose for today, I chose before I realized I was going to be the one playing them, but that's one of those things that just happened, so hopefully I'm going to get through that. But the words were what I was really interested in, because it talks about not only the celebration of light, but also sharing the light and passing it on. And realizing that it only takes a tiny spark, not only to get a fire going, but it only takes a very small flame to illuminate even the deepest darkness. And in a season of light, when we are celebrating the days getting longer, we are also understanding ourselves as beacons of light in different ways, because a lot of people and the earth are going to need that light more than ever from this point forward. We are called to be that light, but the threshold of learning is how can we be that light when we ourselves are frustrated and we have so much stuff going on and conflicting information and all of those things? Well, for me, it's very simple. Love is love is love. And then, as my presentation title that I gave Jim says, let there be light. Shed whatever light you can on whomever you can. And I can't remember the exact quote, but it's like, do as much good as you can in the world to as many people for as long as you can. It's from John Wesley, something like that. Hillary Clinton used to say that an awful lot. And I believe in it. Like, you are a part of this light. You are a part of the celebration that is ongoing to bring light to the world. How could you possibly do that? Well, there's a myriad of ways that you could do that. Many of you are already living your calling of sharing the light by art and poetry and music and so many other ways. Sometimes, though, we get so trudged down that we forget that we are the light. And we get caught up in all of the nonsense and the chaos of the world and say, oh, I can't ever be enough. I'm never going to be able to do this. We're never going to get anywhere. And that's a real challenge, because that leads us back into the darkness instead of forward into the light. So what are some things that you could possibly give as far as your light is concerned to the world, whether it's to humanity, living creatures, to the earth herself, whatever it is? Well, I'm not here to answer that question. We can talk about that during the reflection time. See how I work that out? But today is the celebration of light. But it doesn't end the day. Just like there's not just one day of Christmas. The light is ongoing. And that light, even though it becomes dimmer in the winter, is still light. And even though it's gray again after a beautiful day of this wonderful sunshine, I won't break out into song, but the sun will come out tomorrow. And you are part of that sunshine. I look around the room, and just when I said that, people's eyes lit up, and you displayed the likeness of the light right here, right now. And sometimes that's all it takes. You've heard me say it before. Sometimes you just need to smile at someone to acknowledge that, wow, I see you. Just like in Avatar, one of my favorite lines, if you've ever seen the movies, I see you. Often in our world, we don't stop enough to acknowledge it's like, I see you. And you can even take it further and say, I love you. I don't even know who you are, but I love you. And that's the light that I'm talking about that's ongoing. That's the light that I suggest that we are a part of, that we can love with reckless abandon. We can engage in radical hospitality, and it's dangerous. As you heard in the quote that I used last week that was from the film, love will pierce your soul, but in the end, love will save the world. And that is the light. So my transitive comment that will lead us into the future is that the light that we are is the love that we are and that we give. And as I've said before, love is a verb. And guess what? I thought about this a long time this week. Light is a verb too. Because I've been talking about it as if it were a noun, and it is, but when we light a candle, it's a verb. So search your hearts, search your minds, search your souls, and figure out how you can be a light in action and embrace light as a verb. Let there be light. And now it's time for our congregational reflection on what you're thinking.
I wasn't really thinking of the topic of today's service on the way in, but it was so foggy. And I thought, well, it's a bright and sunny day today at 30,000 feet, I know that for sure.
I think I wish you could go over the bit about the uncertainty and the liminality of epiphany, because to me, just the word epiphany is much simpler than that. It's not as complex as what you were talking about. So I'm trying to grip on that.
Yeah, the word epiphany was sort of invented by Christendom because of the momentous occasion that it offered for Christianity, was that it wasn't technically, scripturally, until the Magi visited and acknowledged the divinity of Jesus that there was the actual epiphany. And of course, that idea, which Unitarian Universalists have a different take on, is a very complex idea of how can a human being be both divine and human at the same time, which is what historically Christendom was all about. And so the Epiphany then was meant to be a very complex thing because it is a moment of liminality, which liminality means you've unlearned something or you've just learned something new, but you don't know really what that means yet. That's really what epiphany technically means, theologically speaking. It's kind of like how one of the things I also bark about all the time is how you see people engaging in the pop culture of deconstruction. Oh, we engage in the pop culture of deconstruction, but then we miss out on the reconstruction. When people get caught up in, well, you know, this is nonsense and that's nonsense and I don't believe this. Well, then what do you believe in? Okay, you've gotten to the threshold. Thank you for acknowledging what you don't believe in. But then what do you believe in? So hopefully that's helpful.
Todd, go ahead. I believe you had something.
You're gonna unmute yourself though.
Maybe not.
Todd, you're not, if you're speaking,
We can't hear you.
I think he's just saying.
Sorry, I was just saying I enjoyed it so far.
Okay.
And when I hear the word epiphany, I think about it in the secular notion of like an aha moment. It's like, oh, I had an epiphany, and it's like, that sounds like something totally different.
And I think that things and meanings change over time, just like, 12 days of Christmas are almost non-existent now. It's the theological beginnings of the word epiphany were originally the way that it was defined by early Christendom, but we obviously made something different. And it's not to say one is wrong and right or whatever, but
Right.
it's, I think, really beneficial to revisit the traditions and then for us to examine them and then reinterpret them for what works for us in the 21st century, in this congregation and beyond.
I had one more thought that I want to share with you. When I'm on my walks, my brain just goes. So I was thinking about Merry Christmas, and I guess there's really nothing wrong with it except that some people's idea of Christmas is not merry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about Happy Holidays, and that is so insipid. It just is boring and just doesn't do anything. And so my daughter came up with Good Tidings. And I thought I would give that to you because that's something you can say during that whole after the 25th time of Christmas.
I'm
So,
gonna use that. Thank you.
Okay.
You heard it here, folks. I often will say season's greetings, but
Okay, there,
that's okay too, but I like good tidings.
yeah,
We need good tidings.
right.
Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa.
Yeah, right.
Well, we can continue, or you can continue the reflection after service, because I'm gonna zip out of here so that I
Okay.
can prepare a place for everyone. And so at this point, what I was going to do is give you the sending insight now, which is be the light that you want to see in the world. And then we will engage in our final hymn, which will begin with a solo by Kathy, so that you can get, this one is a little more familiar because we did it last year on the solstice. Kathy will begin it, and then everybody else will join in.
It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with hopeful love. Once you've experienced it, we spread our love to everyone. We want to pass it
I
on.
invite you all to rise as you're able.
What a wondrous time is now, when all the snow is blowing. As hope stirs inside, His light expands its glowing. That's how it is with joyful love. Once you've experienced it, we spread our love to everyone. We want to pass it on. We wish for you, dear friends, this happiness that we found. You can depend on love. It matters not where you're bound. We'll shout it from the mountain tops. We want the world to know the light of love shines bright with hope. We want to pass it on.
Hey, world.
Please have a seat and enjoy this postlude. And don't forget to join us after service for fellowship, or join each other.
So this postload, I actually want to add some lightness, not only light, but some lightness. It's from a ballet, and I actually hope you can bounce in on your seat.
Thank you, everyone. Please join us in fellowship.
Good tidings.
Good tidings.
I'm planning on going to the zoo, and I just realized that I have a coupon for a free entry to the zoo, and I'm also a +1 member, and that it expires on the 31st, so if anybody wants that coupon,
So,
come and get it.
before we disassemble this, it occurred to me, if we took this microwave, this microphone down, and we relit the candles with that